call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome, everyone. We will start tonight with item 1.1, which is awards, recognitions, and presentations. And I will turn this over to Dr. Vernon. Thank you very much, Mrs. Fisher. I would like to introduce our athletic director, Dr. Lois Cassell. And I would ask her, if our coaches are here, to introduce her coaches and to come forward, please. Basketball players, this is a meeting of the board, so you need to face the board while all this is going on. Sorry. Move a little bit to the side there. Very good.
All right, I appreciate the opportunity again to present to you our team of the season. And again, it's just an opportunity for me to highlight the tremendous things that some of our athletes and our teams have done this year. The team I selected for the winter team of the season is the boys basketball team, but really their entire program. And this team embodied all the qualities that are the goal for all of our teams and our athletes. Some of our boys are here tonight with their head coach. I don't know if he's here quite yet. Okay, he's coming up in a minute. Our head coach is Nate Martins, and I'll introduce him when he comes in. Our assistant coaches were Brian O'Gara and Art Thomas. We had an entirely new coaching staff this year, and you know, people can argue what is the most important task that I do as an athletic director, but I clearly think it is to hire high-quality coaches, just like it is to hire high-quality teachers. And we certainly got the decisions right this time. They were three outstanding coaches for this year. Under the leadership of Coach Martins, they established just a much higher standard of commitment to the team, to each other, and to playing and practicing as hard as they can every day. The team's accomplishments this year included that they finished with a record of 14-6 in the regular season. Last year, with an arguably more talented roster, they finished 4-16. So this was an exceptional turnaround. They qualified for the highly competitive Central Connecticut Conference Tournament. They lost in a first-round heartbreaker to E.O. Smith. They qualified for the Class M CIAC tournament, also losing in a heartbreaker in the first round to Maloney. But they were competitive in every single game, and they competed extremely well against the perennial powerhouses like Bloomfield and Hartford Public. But their record and their tournament appearances are not why they are here this evening. They are here because every day at the end of practice, they would gather in a circle and hold hands, and their final cheer would be family. They are here because they fully embrace the mentality that it's not about me, it's about us. They are here because their level of hard work, commitment, and enthusiasm made them a joy to watch practice, never mind play. I'd like to introduce some of the players that are here tonight. Elijah and Romeo, you can come up too. Come on up. These are a couple of our freshman players. They are two of our most talented freshmen, and will certainly be a very important part of our program going forward. Romeo Soa and Elijah Wiggins. We had, the rest of them are all members of our varsity team. We had Anthony Santiago Campos. Yeah, just kind of raise your hand when we had some very talented juniors that will lead us next year, Tyler Johnson and Andrew Foreman. And then the other guys here, standing here, the other three were on our starting lineup, and they're all terrific players. Jake in the green shirt, Jacob Kennedy, was our three-point specialist. He had the habit of knocking down some killer threes whenever we needed that were really heartbreakers for the other team. But he really developed into an all-around terrific player this year. Sean O'Gara, another one of our seniors, captain. He had some injuries he had to battle through this year, but really brought a toughness and an all-around versatility to his game, and he was a tremendous leader for our program this year. I think a few more guys. Adam Barstow is another one of our seniors that started. He was our point guard, was a feisty guy out there. CJ Ortiz is one of our sophomore stars that will lead us, and Raheem Huff, who snuck in there. Raheem is again another one of our extremely talented juniors that we will look to lead us next year. And finally, our last guy, Coach Martins is there on the end again.
How you doing? Thanks for having us.
We couldn't have asked for a more tremendous leader for our program. Coach Martins and I recognize that in addition to all the hard work the team did, we had a superstar. In my opinion, this young man was the best player in the state of Connecticut this year. But what I think made the difference was really his willingness to, embody that mentality that it wasn't about him, it was about the team. And he knows that what I loved most about him was his ability to make the players around him better. So he didn't care on any given night whether he was scoring 30 points. He was just as happy to be passing the ball to the boys in the right places so they could score 30 points. He was our leader in every category this year, points, assists, steals, and he earned all conference and all state honors. Tarshy Brown. One more senior that snuck in, Brian Dukas.
Hello.
Brian Dukas is one of our other seniors. So again, very proud of these boys. They brought just an excitement and a joy and a pride to Rockville High School that I don't know if we've seen there in recent years. It is, again, their commitment to team and family, their hard work, and that joy and pride they brought to our school that has caused me to select them as our winter team of the season, the boys basketball program.
Dr. Patel, the Board of Education would like to present a recognition certificate to each of the members of the team. So we could come up there and you could read names while.
Charles Artis. Adam Barcelow. Tarshy Brown. Brian Dukas. Andrew Foreman. Raheem Huff. Tyler Johnson. Jacob Kennedy. Sean O'Gara. Anthony Santiago Campos. Romeo Soa. And Elijah Wiggins. Again, congratulations, boys. We are exceptionally proud of you, and coaches, Coach Martins, Coach O'Gara, and Coach Thomas, thank you for being exceptional leaders.
Want to say congratulations. Thank you for all the hard work. We appreciate it. Mr. Martin. Congratulations again to the basketball team. We're very proud of you, and we thank you for all your hard work. Now we'll move on to our next presentation.
At the board's last meeting, Skinner Road School was announced with 2 of their awards. One was the Let's Move Active Schools recognition, and the other was the Bronze Award from Alliance for a Healthier Generation, the combination of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the American Heart Association, and the Bill Clinton Foundation for their active, healthy schools. This meeting, we are honoring Lake Street School, which has achieved the 2014 Let's Move Active Schools recognition. This is First Lady Michelle Obama's. She indicated the physical and emotional health of an entire generation and the economic health and security of our nation is at stake. And Mr. Peter Johnson is here. I think Ms. Tracy Wenzel, our principal, is here as well. If the 2 of them would come forward to receive a certificate. And do you have any other members of your staff? Nope, this is one of Mrs. Fisher. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your hard work.
There you go. Hang on, let me get up there.
Done a really outstanding job with our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations again. And we'll move on to our next presentation.
We would like to welcome to our Board of Education meeting Catherine Hallisey from the Food Corps and our Food Nutrition Services Director, Mr. Christopher Afjes. And they are here with the Dairy Council. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Afjes. Please come forward.
Thank you for letting us be here tonight. Tonight we have a presentation from the New England Dairy and Food Council. Amanda Aldridge is here to present us with a small check for a grant we applied for. If you'd like to say a few things.
Thank you for having us. I wanted to take the opportunity to come and present myself and Kai's Orr, who's standing next to me, who's a 4th-generation dairy farmer from Thompson, Connecticut. Your school nutrition program wrote a grant for 3 of your schools to add blenders to the nutrition program to create fruit and yogurt smoothies as part of the school breakfast program to increase participation, which we know leads to improved academic performance and classroom behavior. And we want to take this opportunity to present them with a photo opportunity check. Kai, did you want to say something?
Hi, I'm Kai's Orr from Connecticut, Thompson, and I'm 4th-generation farmer, as Amanda said, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me, and I fully support you guys for going local.
Thank you.
And I just also want to thank Catherine Hallisey from Food Corps, who was really spearheaded us getting this grant in, and we're looking forward to getting some more in for other programs next year. So thank you.
I was hired as a photographer. That's Vernon. Maybe not a successful photographer. If you gave me an iPhone, I could do it.
I can pull the button down. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your generosity. We appreciate it. Now, for our next presentation.
Thank you. We would like to welcome Mr. Daniel Skiba from our local Elks. Mr. Skiba, in the audience? Look like that, okay. We have students in our district who participated in the Elks National Drug Awareness Poster Contest, and we are quite delighted that they have done so. We have 3 winners, and if the 3 winners would come forward, Madeline Berman, she's one of the 6 top winners in the state from grade 3. And just, yep, stand right there, Madeline, thank you. And Allison Bloom, who received an honorable mention. We're quite delighted. Congratulations, Allison. And Mai Kim Lai Huynh, who also received an honorable mention. Is Mai Kim here? No? Okay. Mrs. Fisher's going to come up and give you each a certificate. And, oh, yes, there is. I'm sorry. Those were all students from Center Road School. I apologize. From Skinner Road School, we have Deja White. Is Deja here? She is? There she is. Very good. Thank you. I apologize. And Deja also received an honorable mention. We are quite delighted with our students. Congratulations. Did you bring copies of your posters to show the board? No? All right. Well, please send them to my office. I'll share them with them next time, okay? All right. Thank you very much, ladies. And our last presentation. Thank you very much. The Vernon Hunger Action Team, or HAT, Vernon HAT, is trying to solve the problem of hunger in our area. And as a piece of that action, they sponsored a bus tour and invited people who work in this building, as well as people from around town, from the other buildings, to participate in a bus tour. The tour left this building, went to Hockham Valley Community Council, to the food pantry, and took a full tour of the food pantry. We learned quite a bit, and then the bus tour went to our soup kitchen right up the street here. And the participants on the bus took in a meal and learned what happens at our soup kitchen and learned about the wonderful work that is done there. In the meantime, however, we had 5 Rockville High School students who created a video that we're providing you the link to. It's about 11 minutes long, so we're not going to show it this evening. But they did an outstanding job. First, I think I would like to invite Michelle Hill to come up, and you have a presentation for us first, is that correct? No, you didn't, okay.
We are just here to support and recognize.
Okay, very good then. We will recognize our students. We had 5 students who are exemplary videographers, directors, actors, and we are quite delighted to recognize them. So I would ask that the following students please come up. Nick Bartos, Catherine Cutting, Hannah Steed, Patrick Breslin, and Sean O'Gara. These students not only wrote, produced, and acted in the video, they came with us on the bus and to the food pantry and also to the soup kitchen where we showed the video, and it was very powerful. So I do encourage you to go on the link that we provided you, and certainly we'll provide that link on our website as well. That it was just outstanding, and I think really brought a lot of attention to the problem of hunger right here in our very own town. So we thank you, students, for taking that action. and becoming part of your community and supporting your community. And thank you to Michelle Hill and from KidSafe, and to, I'm going to forget your name, from Food Chain. Sorry about that, I apologize. So, and we thank you very much. If you have any questions for either B or Michelle, they are here to support the students, but also to answer any questions you might have on the Hunger Action Team.
Mrs. Bush.
I don't have a question, but recently some of the Board of Ed members and Town Council took a tour of the food pantry, and I just can't say enough how hard the volunteers work and the people running the program. And it was just absolutely wonderful to see how much food is being donated by different community members as well as businesses and other people, so that there is enough food to give every month. So it was really eye-opening to see that.
Well, thank you to all of our recipients tonight. We're proud of all of you, and you do our school system proud. And thank you very much. So we will. So now we'll get down to business. 2.0, our consent agenda. 2.1, we have board meetings. Mr. Wool.
Motion to move the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Mrs. Bush? Second. Mrs. Arndt?
Can I pull item A, please?
Anyone else want to vote on anything? All right, we will vote on B, C, and D. All those in favor of approving B, C, and D? Unanimous? Okay, Mrs. Arndt?
7.3 was the discussion of this study, and I was hoping that the minutes could reflect the request that, at the conclusion of the study, that the board be given some information, the return visit to the board meeting. Would that be reflected in the minutes?
That should be added, you're right. Okay, well, do you want to make a motion to approve it with that addition?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Wool?
Second.
Any questions or comments or discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to 3.0, Secretary's Report. Opportunity for the Board of Education to add or delete agenda items. Mrs. Arndt.
I'd like to move to add the addition of 6.2A, discussion of school governance councils. May I qualify that by saying it's very brief. I just want to reference the information that was in the back of our board packet.
We already have a 6.2A, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of confused with the numbering here.
I'm sorry.
How about we make it 6.1A?
Yeah.
Fine.
Is that good? Okay. All right, is there a second on that? Mr. Bull?
I'd second the motion.
Any questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Anyone else, anyone want to add anything else to the agenda? Mrs. Arndt?
May I add as 6.1B? Again, brief discussion of Connecticut Council for Education Reform.
Is there a second?
I promise you it's informational only.
Mr. Wool?
Second the motion.
Okay, any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Okay, any other additions or deletions? Okay, item 3.2, Arapahoe High School Student Representative Report. Olivia.
Good evening. Before I say anything, I would like to attest to all great things coming out of Rockville. I know that the boys basketball team, along with a lot of other sports, have really captured the attention of the student body, and people would always be talking about the latest boys basketball game, and people followed them to away games, and it was really something great to see. So I just wanted to attest to their hard work and dedication.
So college decisions are made, and it's really impressive to see where some people are going. I have a friend of mine who is choosing between Stanford and Brown, and that was pretty incredible. She's very gifted. And we have people attending colleges like Dartmouth, and we have Boston College attendance, and a lot of different really prestigious schools. So Rockville is really representing well. Even though our test scores may be low, there are those very, very, very overachievers who end up in very prestigious places. And I think it's the recognition they deserve for all their hard work, taking 5 AP tests and all this crazy stuff that, really works hard to get them to where they are. So I just wanted to point out some of the really great places that people are going. AP exams, as I just mentioned, are coming to a close. They run very smoothly, very well organized. It just went off without a hitch. Kids are finally taking the breath of fresh air. They're done. So it's been really good to see kids kind of just being like, okay. It's really bringing things to a close. Our drama club put on the production of Midsummer's Night Dream, which was on Friday night and Saturday night, and it was fabulous. I read that as a freshman for an independent project, and seeing it acted out in such a manner really brought it to life and makes you realize why Shakespeare is still relevant. And it was really enjoyable. I know they all worked very hard. There was a good attendance, and it was just very well done. My compliments, and everyone else in the theater. Everyone was just kind of awestruck at how great it was and how spot on. It was very enjoyable. The mock car crash is tomorrow, and that hasn't happened since I was a freshman, so 3 years now. And so that's really, really exciting. Well, kind of in a morbid way, but it happens. It's really a good thing for people. I guess this year, instead of alcohol, I think it's smoking and Snapchatting behind the wheel. So that is a very real thing. And I think it's interesting that it's really relevant to today's technology and drug abuse, since there are much more options than just drinking and driving. So it's going to be really something. It always hits students in the heart, especially senior classmates, and I know it's just quite the spectacle, so it's really going to be great. It's something that should happen more than once every 3 years. And because of the mock car crash, that's in preparation for prom, everyone's excited. Oh, what's your dress look like? Are you getting your hair done? Are you getting your nails done? And then the guys are like, tux, what? They're like, it's more expensive than I thought it would be, and it's really a lot of morale, a lot of people lining up to buy tickets, and class day is also on Friday. So everyone's just kind of really enjoying the end of the year. There's a lot of morale, not a lot of negativity. I think it's just a really good way to end the year. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Olivia?
Have you made your decision where you're going to go? I'd like to know if you
That's
have.
going to be my question.
I'm going to Simmons College in Boston.
Good for you. Congratulations. That's great. All right, any other questions for Olivia? All right, thank you so much, Olivia. We'll move on to item 4.0, Community Forum. Opportunity for comments on agenda items, potential future agenda items, or general information provided to the board from citizens and community organizations. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board this evening? Okay, I guess we'll move on to item 5.0, curriculum. 5.1, Vernon Regional Adult-Based Education Presentation.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fisher. As you know, every community is required by the state of Connecticut to provide access to adult basic education for their citizens. In many cases, there are towns that are too small to provide their own program. Manchester right now is providing their own program. Ours, Verabe, is the Vernon Regional Adult Basic Education. So we have, our region is actually quite far-reaching. to include Griswold in the east, Weathersfield towards the west, and many, many towns in between and contiguous to us. Every other month, Dr. Mandel holds a policy board meeting calling together the superintendents from the districts that are served by Verave, and provides us with incredible information about the programs that they are sharing. And that information, of course, just resides in central office, and we share that information internally. Last month, Dr. Mandel was invited by the Ellington Board of Education to present to them about all of the programs that are offered. And they're not just a GED program or a high school diploma program. They are much further reaching than that. And so I feel that the Board of Education here should know that. I've asked for the relative Cliff Notes version. Dr. Mandel is not known for his Cliff Notes version, but he promises. So I would give this over to Dr. Mandel to share what our Vernon Regional Adult Basic Education offers to not only the students, but to the greater community. Dr. Mandel.
Thank you. It's true, I think a lot of people really don't realize how far-reaching we are, not only physically to towns like Colchester and Griswold and Weathersfield and Mansfield, but in programs. So I appreciate the opportunity to go through a number of slides very quickly, so I'm really just going to highlight. However, I provided each of you with a copy of this PowerPoint, and you can certainly always feel welcome to contact me for questions or ask me any questions while we're going through. But hopefully, I'll be able to answer any questions you might have or to touch on the points that you would have been thinking of. I'm going to skip the mission statement for now, in the sake of time. As Dr. Conway mentioned, we're in many towns, Colchester, East Windsor, and I'll let you know where we actually have programs. Bacon Academy in Colchester, East Windsor High School, they vary in size, of course, Glastonbury High School, and during the day, St. Mark's Church, Griswold High School, and Mansfield's E.O. Smith and the Mansfield Public Library. Tolland, we have a relatively new program at Birch Grove School. Vernon, of course, we have Rockville High School, our largest program. We have Rockville, what we call the Rockville Learning Center down here in town. The YMCA, which is a family learning program, and Maple Street School, where I started a GED program 2 years ago. Weathersfield, our newest addition at Weathersfield High School, and we also have GED classes at Manchester Community College. As Dr. Conway alluded to, there's a state statute 10-69 that says that every locale must provide certain services. And I've highlighted them in red here just to facilitate. But every town, either by itself or by adjoining with another region, with a region like ours, has to provide Americanization or citizenship, has to provide ESL, limited English classes, elementary and secondary school completion, and by elementary they just mean a pre-GED. It's providing services to community members who still aren't ready to even take on the GED studies. And we can provide additional services like vocational education, adult literacy, parenting skills. So it's pretty far-reaching as to what we cover. This is just a diagram of what I just said. At the top are the required courses or programs. Then we have support services with career counseling, Connecticut GED Test Center, which I'm going to touch on in a few minutes. A lot of technology. We do college transition. We do workforce prep. We do expulsion support and family literacy, which they're now calling family learning program. Credit diploma program is the one that looks the most like high school. Students come and we review their transcript and we look to see what they're missing. So many history, so many English, etc. And we develop a course of study for them. The nice thing about credit diploma program It might take a little longer, but they leave with an actual high school diploma. Eligibility is 17 or 18. They must have an official withdrawal, and if they're 17, signed by a parent. This is, be a little hard for you to see on the screen, but we require 21 credits for graduation. As you might be able to see up there, a number of English, math, all of the standard type courses that would be offered in a high school. Plus we require college transition or workforce prep, depending on the direction they think they want to go in a senior project. Our students can also get credit for military, for occupation, and community service. A little added bonus for them. The Adult Basic Ed, ABE, is what I mentioned before, what they call an elementary program, because it is developmental as it leads to the GED course of study. A lot of people think GED is General Education Diploma. It is not. It stands for General Educational Development. It is only a state high school diploma. It is not the same as a credit diploma, which is an actual high school diploma. The official GED test that they take is a 4-part test, which has just been ramped way up. The curriculum has been changed to be in alignment with Common Core, and the entire test is now online as opposed to pencil and paper. As I'll mention in a few minutes, we are a GED testing center. We were before, but now the requirements are much stiffer. Again, 17 or 18, official withdrawal, eligibility for testing, valid picture ID, and in order, if students are 17 or 18, they have to have been withdrawn for at least 6 months, or the class that they entered within the freshman year has already graduated. Otherwise, they're not eligible to take the test. Pearson VUE, if you've heard of them at all, they've become the conqueror of the testing world. They now control all the GED testing for the state of Connecticut. It was a lot of work to get to become a Pearson VUE testing center, but we did. We started in January, and each month we're testing more and more students. This is our first confirmed GED graduate. It was only a few weeks ago. ESL, English as a Second Language, or TESOL, depends upon what system you're in. Program that instructs non-English speakers to read, write, speak, and understand English. There are 5 levels. Students, however, cannot be enrolled in a day school program because their school system must take care of those that are in school. Citizenship is a program that grows every year. We've extended it from what was an 8-week program to 10-week programs. We have citizenship classes at Rockville High, at Weathersfield High, at Glastonbury High, at Griswold High. And one of the reasons that we did expand it is because they've so radically increased the cost for these people to take the exam that we want to be certain that they pass it. This year we're going to have something new at graduation. We'll have a couple of our citizenship students leading in our graduates because they don't qualify as a graduate, but we still want to recognize them. And the National External Diploma Program is also an actual high school diploma. It is like a portfolio assessment program. The students meet with an assessor once a week. They have to be very self-directed, and they have to successfully pass, so to say, 70 competencies in 10 content areas. It is primarily designed for someone who's a little older and has been in the world of work for a while, so that they can apply those experiences. Amongst the happiest graduates are the NEDP personnel. And that also has become completely computerized as of this past July. So that adds an extra burden to some of the students being that they're not the youngest and not the most acclimated to computers. So we're not only teaching them content, we're teaching them computer skills. We have free summer classes every summer. We do them for the month of July for GED and ESL. This is our website if you've never been there. It's extremely comprehensive. We won accolades from the state for it. Over to the left side is a menu along with drop down at the top for each area. Any of our students wishing to get a high school completion diploma has to come to an orientation. On the right side of the page, they just click on that and they sign themselves up. And it's much more expensive than what I'm explaining. We were about the first around to have our own app. There is a Verabe app. You just scan it with your smartphone or go on to your whatever your appropriate app store is. The advantage of the app store is that a lot of, especially younger people today, everything is quick and instant. They don't want to go to a website, scan through a website. There are minimum buttons on there that take you right to the main places on our website. And on our end, if we ever want to get a notice out to everyone who has signed on to it, we can push a notice, whether it's snow cancellation or anything else. And we've had over 3,000 hits to date. One of the areas that's probably the least known but is growing, and I must give credit here to Christine Vincent, who's my community outreach coordinator and is housed down at the Rockville Learning Center. We're doing so much in the community. The first thing that we started this year, we provided a couple of Access Health workshops. So it's right in the locale. They just came right down to our center. We had a sexual assault crisis service workshop. We've had a couple of free legal workshops because we find that it's anything, as it says here, from family-related legal issues and also including immigration. This is our newest one. We've just developed a pilot with the Department of Labor. It's a big gold star for us, if I could say that. This is the second round of workshop that we're having. This one is in June. The morning is individual job search interviews, and the DOL actually brings in their trained people. In the afternoon is tools for the job seeker. And interestingly enough, now since we established this, Connecticut Workforce Partners is interested in talking to us. So, and we've been trying to make that connection for a long time. This is just a sample of an ad that we run throughout our towns. We also have continuing ed, or what we call enrichment. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the booklet on the left. That's for Vernon. We run them in the fall and in the spring. The one on the right for Wethersfield. So I have the pleasure of having 2 locations that offer anything from cake decorating, cupcake decorating, like I saw somebody do in this building, to Trish, no, not mentioning names, to ballroom dancing, to yoga, to computers. It's a wonderful service to the community, if I may say so. We do reach 96,000 homes with our catalogs, and that's just for the Vernon one. And within, whether it's the Vernon or the Wethersfield, the center part of it explains all of our courses, again, our educational programs, so we can really get the word out on what we are offering in all areas. We do a lot of career exploration. This was a group in our 21st century workforce where they visited this wire and cable company. We have Lincoln College come in. We also go and visit. We visited a number of times a year Goodwin College with a special grant called Know How to Go. We visit MCC as well. Our ESL students, to enhance their learning of history, have 2 trips a year. The fall one was to Plymouth, Mass, and about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, they visited Old Mystic Seaport and Old Mystic Village. Constantly doing PD. We're trying to keep up with the college and career readiness, which is our set of Common Core skills. Also, a lot of technology-related workshops. We've been doing virtual and blended learning for 4 or 5 years now. We work with a program called Odysseyware, so we have blended learning going on in a number of courses in many of our towns. And we have virtual learning through the Connecticut Distance Learning Consortium, which is a grant, it's part of the Connecticut Adult Virtual High School System, and it's a free to us because it's a grant under Adult Ed. Presently, we have 11 students, physical science, contemporary lit, transition to college, a wonderful curriculum. And this just ended, but twice a year, for a few months, we open up the center down here for any academic support that's needed, including just a quiet place to study. These are the numbers. I'll just explain them very quickly. It's 2012, 2013, and 13-14. Please understand that 13-14, we're still on our 3rd trimester, so they're not complete. It's all of our categories: the adult basic ed, the credit diploma, citizenship, NEDP, ESL, GED, and the totals. ST are the number of students, EN are the number enrolled. And just to explain that easily, if you look to the bottom of the CDP column where it says all hours, so you have 19 students, there are more than this at Rockville, but these are just the Vernon ones, taking so far this year 106 courses. The difference between 12 plus hours and why we have that compared to all hours is it gives us an idea of how many drop along the way, so we can better focus our needs. Overall, so far this year, we've had 145 Vernon students taking 266 courses, which is pretty good. I think we will increase over last year's numbers. And that's it. So I've tried to condense an awful lot into hopefully 10 minutes. Did I do okay?
You did a great job.
Okay, and again, I hope to see some of you, if not all of you, at graduation. And these are students that are so taken back by having a second chance to complete their high school completion. And so I hope you'll join us and applaud for them. Thank you.
Thank you. That's on June 12th, right?
Yes.
That's it?
Any quick questions?
Thank you very much. Paula.
My pleasure, totally.
We appreciate it. Okay, we move on to our summer academy update.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Mr. DeBellis had a previous engagement this evening, and Mr. Burt has had to head home for he's out of water at his house, so he's trying to fix his water problem right now. But you have the documents that Mr. DeBellis prepared for you. You can see that our discovery program, our enrichment program, has expanded quite a bit. Last year, if you recall, it was mostly English language arts. There was one on poetry, creative writing, reading, so they were all in that vein. This year, some teachers have come forward to do those again, but there are a few others. I see creativity through cupcakes. I see cooking with literature, exploring ancient Egypt. I saw an Italian class, Spanish class, so there are digital photography. So there are courses for our students that we have not offered before, and we're very, very excited about those. The total enrollment for summer school in its entirety is supposed to be no more than 80. That we feel that is our capacity. 31 of those students are identified and do have in their individual education plan that they are going to summer school for whatever help that they might need. Already 11 people have signed up for the discovery, and the letter brochures are out. A letter will go home to each family K through 5, next week for that. And the middle school and the high school are in the process of preparing their summer courses as well. I'm not sure that I have any more information to answer questions with, but I'm sure that I could certainly get information if you do have questions and get that out to you.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Conway to explore for us? No? Thank you very much. It looks like a great program. And we'll move on to item 6.0, general business. 6.1, open choice applicants. Dr. Conway.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. As you know, every year the State Department provides a list to the Board of Education of the number of students who have applied or placed Vernon on their list of choices, and it could be the first through the 5th choice, as an open choice student from Hartford. This is a program where if you have a certain number of students, a certain percentage of your student body, you would get $2,000 and then $4,000 and then $6,000, depending on the percent of your student body who is made up of open choice students. The Vernon Board of Education each year, as I said, is asked to take a vote on this. I presented to you 2 motions. There, of course, is a third, which I will share with you. The motion would be to approve the placement of the 11 open choice students who have asked to come. They may not ask to come in the end. They may have other choices that have come that they end up with. The second question would be, or if not the 11 open choice students, then would you place the 2 sibling students? I now need to share with you the board's discussion in past years has been a frustration that we only receive a small percentage of the cost of education for each of these children who come to our town. We did have 25 students 4 years ago. We now have 9, I think 5 of them are graduating. And so we are down to about 4 for next year, if I recall. I could be off by a couple of students. The board has not chosen in the last 3 years to accept any new students, whether they were just a regular open choice student or a sibling. So certainly the board has that option as well, is to not accept any open choice students. So I would leave this in for your discussion.
Do you have any questions? I do. How many kids are already going to Vernon that have siblings that have applied? I don't get how.
There were 2 students who have siblings. That's what we were told. There is the applicant ID that we whited out the names on the left there. So there is the middle.
Okay.
Well, they're both.
Grade 4, grade 7.
Those are one of the siblings we have, and the other students are the ones that are applying.
Okay, so the ones that want to go to grade 4 and grade 7,
Those
are
are,
applying, they're not here now.
that's correct,
Okay. And then the ones in the middle,
are the siblings that are still here.
they're still here. Okay. All right, Mrs. Ard?
I move that the board deny the request of open choice students to attend Vernon School.
Is there a second? Mr. Kalina? Second? Discussion? Mrs. Ard?
Nothing different than what the board has discussed in the past. It's a significant financial burden, I think, for us to assume that education cost and whatever other responsibilities come with the students that they send to us. And I think we struggle enough educating our own students. The reason for the denial.
Anyone else? Mrs. Bush?
For the 4th grade student that we're going to
Lake Street School, do we have an idea of the class size in those schools, recent?
I could certainly go get that for you, it's right on my desk, if you would like me to go get that for you. But there are 2 classes, there are 2 third grades that will be going into 4th grade.
I mean, that does make a little bit of a difference on the class size, in my eyes. If we're pretty heavy on that student count, I would definitely say we need to make sure our class sizes stay reasonable.
Do you want Dr. Conway to go?
I would like to see that with that number.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Anybody have any comments while Dr. Conway's getting it? I'm just going to say, I am a proponent of keeping families together, so that's why I would be in support of allowing the siblings to come, whose siblings are already here, but that's just my opinion. Mr. Hall?
Motion for recess while Dr. Conway's getting the,
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, I'll have a recess. What? Okay, thank you.
all the bills are transferred, so we wouldn't have a cost other than our basic. That's what I was thinking.
Forget.
Yeah,
All right.
so that was.
Some of them do. Oh, no. Yeah, I can't do it.
That's what I was gonna ask. Sure.
So if someone grades 7, 4th grade,
The numbers
so it's closer to the numbers are key, right? So this is only one student. Oh, I know this guy 20.
This 24 really, these are mid-20s.
Oh, these guys are right now. Oh, right. And these are the two siblings of these guys. Right.
Ready?
Thank you. Okay, I guess we're live again, okay. Mr. Wolf?
Just speaking to that motion again, I would ask for a friendly amendment that we deny the 11, but we do allow the 2 siblings to come to Vernon, understanding, that, try to keep families together.
It's your motion.
Fine with me if it's fine with the second.
And what rate for the reimbursement be, 2,000 for those?
$2,000.
Oh,
$2,000. Costs Vernon approximately $15,000 to educate a child.
I'm as much for keeping families together, but I have serious concern that we're having enough difficulty with our budgets and so on and so forth along the way that I don't think I could second the motion that stands. Thank you.
So there is no friendly amendment, right? I get that correct, Mrs. Arnold?
No, there's.
Okay, just want to make sure I had that right. Okay, well then we will vote on the motion that's on the floor, which is to not accept any
Can I
choice.
get the class size number?
Oh, I'm sorry. The 2 third grade classes at Lake Street School are each 16 students, and so there will be 16 going into 4th grade. 32 students altogether. Okay, any other comments or discussion? Mrs. Arndt?
Would it be appropriate to withdraw the motion and make a different motion? Rather than,
That can be
would that
done.
be okay?
That can be done.
With the approval of the seconder?
I guess I could withdraw.
Just make it clearer when we're voting.
Okay.
I move to deny the application of the 11 students to attend Vernon and allow the application of 2 siblings to attend Vernon.
Okay, is there a second, Mr. Hill?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any other discussion or comments on that motion? Okay, so now the motion on the floor is to deny the 11 open choice applicants, but allow the 2 siblings to come. Is that correct? Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, motion carries 3-2. Sorry, I've got to write this down. Okay, sorry. Item 6.2, Board of Education Finance Committee report.
Actually, 6.1A.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I moved this on the other side of the paper. I'm sorry. 6.1 is School Governance Council. Discussion. Mrs. Arndt.
I just had a question about the information in the back of the packet about the webinar that's going to be sponsored by CAVE. I wondered if that's been made available to the appropriate people. Like, will Vernon be participating, do you know?
I'm sorry, if I know you, Mrs. Fisher. I sent all of the information out to all of the principals, and they were supposed to send it out to their school governance committees, their webinars. So they were at 12 noon, and my understanding is that it will be archived, so they can access it at any time.
Does anybody else have any questions about that? Okay, item 6.1B. Mrs. Arndt.
I had a question about Connecticut Council for Education Reform, Dr. Conway. They send out interesting information, but I'm not clear about, and I don't mean to be offensive to anybody, the legitimacy of the group. And the latest email information had to do with extending the student day and studies that they had been doing with towns around Vernon and all. Do you know anything about the council and their work?
I do. As a matter of fact, the former executive director came to visit us probably about a year ago right now, asking if they could support our work as an alliance district in any way. The executive director, it's a nonprofit. They do have funding. And so they held several one-day sessions bringing in national presenters on topics that were important to the commissioner in terms of what the alliance districts were doing. So extending the school day, talent development, chronic absenteeism, those kinds of things. And they would do a one day, and it would be free for alliance districts and open to other districts who would have to pay for the day to go. The new executive director is Dr. Jeffrey Villar, who just left Windsor Public Schools as the superintendent, and so he is now doing this. We have been to some things. We haven't partnered with them in any way. I trust the information they bring forward, and we just, as many of the nonprofits in the state of Connecticut, we look, and if there's something that interests us, we involve ourselves in that, and if there's something that does not, we do not. So I haven't pushed it one way or the other. We're also involved in the Connecticut Center for School Change in a larger way. They're supporting Lead Connecticut and the Superintendent's Network, which I'm a member of. So there are other nonprofits in the state that we get involved in. But this one has partnered, I think, with CAVE a couple of times, and certainly with CAPS and CAS as well. The superintendents and schools, principals associations.
Do they report their findings regularly? I'm just particularly interested, in the expanding the student learning time. They're involving 2 different cohorts in Connecticut and doing a 9-month study, and I'm wondering if we can access information just that could benefit
I can certainly ask Dr. Villar when that information will be available. And
Okay.
certainly.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to 6.2, Board of Education Finance Committee report. And turn it over to Mr. Porcaro.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Madam Chairman, I'll do the Dr. Mandel version of the Business and Finance report. We met, the Finance Committee met, led by Chairman Kalina this evening right before tonight's board meeting. The first item to highlight is the fiscal year 2015 budget in regards to the health insurance broker services, and the Finance Committee had discussed. There's actually a motion to follow the finance report for us to continue with our current health insurance brokers. We're pleased to report that our health insurance brokers, after being notified that we would not be continuing as directed by the board at the last meeting, and we would be consolidating for fiscal year 15, which begins July 1st of this year, had come back with a final last best offer to reduce their fee and commission by the amount that we needed to achieve in our budget for next year. So that being said, I strongly believe, as discussed at the last board meeting, that it's in our best interest to keep our current health insurance brokers for many reasons, mainly because of our service that we get for our retired employees. And so that being said, we shared that information with town administration, who agreed. And so thankfully, we're able to share that information in tonight's board meeting. So the motion before you under item 6.2A in the agenda this evening is for us to keep our current health insurance broker services with Brown & Brown, and then work with the town of Vernon to consolidate those services beginning July 1st through a bid process for fiscal year 15-16, so for next year. So that gives us a year to appropriately plan, transition, and maintain continuity of services for our employees this year. Moving on to the highlights for current fiscal year budget, and the reason why we had two Finance Committee meetings so close together, and we'll continue to do so through the course of the end of the year, is as we close out our budget, which we set a date early this year for May 23rd because of some of our budget concerns that we've been working through for the entire year. Our final budget picture is coming into focus. And so there's some really good news to share with the board, as discussed at the Finance Committee tonight, in the area of special education. So let me start with that, and then we'll move into some of the line items for the year-to-date budget report that the board needs to be aware of. First, for special education, under special education excess costs, we received our final revenue update from the State Department of Education, and our projections for this final payment were around $154,000. Our actuals are going to be closer to $385,000 and change. That's really good news. The primary reasons for that are twofold. One, the reimbursement rate is 79.74%. We were anticipating it to be about a point less than that based upon the State Department of Ed's initial projections. So that's good news. But really the big part behind it, I think, is in great part to some really hard work from our special ed department and working with the State Department of Ed and with the support of this board and the direction of this board. It really come through in maximizing our CDAC-G final application for this year. So we've already received and transferred out $833,218 in expenses. That was based on the first payment that we received. And again, our second payment should be $385,110 and change. So our total reimbursement for this current fiscal year will be at $1.3 million and change. We expect to receive that payment within the next couple of weeks from the State Department of Ed. That's done through an electronic wire, and then we transfer out the expenses. So the next year-to-date report that will come before you should show that reduction in expenses from our special education tuition line items 55810 and 820 respectively. And that's very good news. Also in the special ed area, we received notification by pushing very hard with the Department of Social Services on two fronts. One, closing out our receivables with the town for the cost settlement for fiscal year 11-12. So again, they're 2 years behind. If you recall, the board still owes a payment of $126,000 and change to the town to close out last year's fiscal year. in the black, and so we are expecting to receive either tomorrow or the next day from the Department of Social Services, about a month early, a check for about $142,000 and change. So $20,000 more than we were expecting, which is good news, and so that should be received. In addition to that, again, our special ed department has been working really hard to capitalize on all of our reimbursable items on a month-to-month basis through the Medicaid reimbursement program, and working with CompuClaim. We are also expecting another check for about $10,000. So everything's said and done by the end of this week, including the monies that we've already received, and you'll see the summary in our executive summary, we should have in hand about $260,000, $270,000 in Medicaid reimbursements that we can report for this year. Now, again, of which $120,000 has to go to the town as a receivable, and then we had discussed and passed through the town, in partnership with the town, an agreement that $70,000 for the current year would stay with the town. And so if you back all that out, that leaves between $70,000 and $80,000 in that account that we plan on using to offset additional special education costs for the current fiscal year. So that's some really good news on that front there. Also in the year-to-date report, if you can take a look at the Exhibit B, that actually is the details behind the year-to-date report. I just wanted to highlight, as we did through the Finance Committee, some of the areas that we need to work on closing out for the current fiscal year, and you'll see these in the forms of budget transfers and amendments over the next few weeks. The first one is the custodial maintenance overtime salary account item that's currently being reported as negative $24,575.27 on the front page. That is object code 51132. And if you look on the executive summary under our school use account, it's showing a balance of $19,000 and change. We do expect that to close out much closer to $60,000 this year. This is the time of year when there's quite a few school events that we charge a fee for. And so our plan is to transfer out those expenses for the custodial maintenance overtime account, plus our projected need through the end of the year, which will probably put us closer to about $30,000. So the negative 24, more around $30,000, and you'll see a budget transfer out, hopefully for those expenses to our school use account. Additional accounts that we will be needing to take action on, either reporting to the board as a transfer or as an amendment through the board, are substitute nurses accounts. We're projecting a total negative balance of about $19,000 through the end of this fiscal year. That was primarily due to 3 staff on extended leave. Again, that's an unbudgeted expense and it's extenuating circumstances. So we will be looking for funds to zero that account out. Along the same line, our temporary salaries account currently showing a balance of negative $15,205.62. Again, we're on page 1, 51159 is the object code. Projecting that will probably be around $20,000 by the end of the year, so we'd like to address that at the next Finance Committee meeting in one single transfer or amendment so that we can zero out that line item. The other account balance, the other accounts that I'm concerned about that we'll need to take action on, we still have the town pension. That's negative $28,864. Again, we budgeted with the town at the beginning of the year. The actual bill came in that much higher, and so we still need to take action on that to close our books out. So we plan on doing that before the end of the fiscal year as well. We have our 2 special education tuition account line items, and so the summary there is if you take the additional payment of $385 and $110 from the funds that we've already transferred out, it's leaving a remaining balance of negative $463,540. Now, the one thing that we talked about in the Finance Committee meeting, and we will be bringing back through Finance to the full board with more details, is the impact of the Vernon Elementary School. And if you notice that those 2 numbers are pretty close. The Vernon Elementary School, we transferred out $435,000. We have a negative balance of $463,540, so we're only talking about $30,000 difference there. But the real message here is if we look at the Vernon Elementary School, some of the preliminary data shared by our special ed department is showing that while we didn't bring in revenue, it appears from the numbers that we're looking at, and again we'll drill down in more detail in a future meeting, that our exposure could have been much higher for out-of-district placement to the tune of about $500,000 is what was reported this evening in the Finance Committee meeting. So while we're closing with a negative $463,000, That could have been closer to $1 million if we didn't have our Vernon Elementary School based on some of the preliminary data that we're seeing so far. But more details to follow in the future report before the end of this fiscal year, now that we have our end of the year revenue estimates in. The other line item that I'm concerned about that we will need to make transfers on, and we talked about this at the last board meeting, is our heating oil. It was a cold winter, and so we're anticipating a projected deficit of about $80,000 in that line item based on some of the bills we received. We plan on transferring some funds from our gas accounts into that because we realized some savings there, but we will need to pull money from other accounts as well. And that leaves us currently with a available budget for the snapshot for this year-to-date report of $1.246 million, or 97.5% of our budget used so far. That was really a lot of focus of the discussion as planned for our business and finance report discussion in the finance committee meeting. We also talked briefly about some of the transfers that were presented. There's a summary of all the transfers that we presented, and really looking at that at the direction of our chairman, Mr. Kalina, and using that as a roadmap with administration for our budget planning purposes for fiscal year 16, which we plan on doing wholeheartedly. The Health and Safety Committee, a couple of quick updates there. We do plan on doing a tabletop exercise on bomb threats with the high school. We have a team of folks that will be going through the superintendent's office to attend our school multi-hazard training offered by the State Department of Homeland Security. And Vernon was selected as one of the first school districts to participate in that training, likely because of Dr. Conley's role on the planning committee. And the last item is from our student representative, and I didn't discuss this at the finance committee, but I should have, is the mock car crash at Rockville High School tomorrow. We were reviewing the operations plan today, and it certainly will be an event, and so looking forward to that as well. We have quite a few bids and awards included in your packet this evening, and the substitute services is not an exhibit, but there was a brief discussion on that as well, and the Board of Ed, our administration will be going out to bid to do our own RFI after looking at both what CREC has to offer, what they plan to offer, what other school districts have available that we can piggyback on. Bottom line is that there's really nothing out there that will meet the directive of this board to get information on substitute services beyond substitute teaching services. So it's in our best interest to go out and do our own RFI, which we will do before the end of this fiscal year. So with that, I'll be glad to take some questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Vernon? Mrs. Bush.
You spoke about retaining the same brokers you've been using because of some cost savings. How does that work with consolidating with the town on this? Because I thought that's what we were striving for.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. It works well because we still will achieve that goal of consolidating services through the bid process. And frankly, we'll look at those bid results like we do with our health insurance carriers when we go out to bid jointly with the town. And if we can leverage a better buy, which is what we anticipate doing, which is what's behind the original motion, then we'll make that recommendation to the board to do that with the town. But they may come back, you know, like the health insurance carriers, and they'll rate us individually, they'll rate us together, and then we'll see what gives us the best bang for the buck and meets our operational needs. So bottom line is we're still going to do that. We'll still go out to bid with the town. It just gives us a year to allow that transition if the bid results support that, both financially and to meet our operational need.
Thank you.
Cool.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, and we can move right on to 6.2A. Mr. Gould.
I'd like to make the motion that the board continue with Brown & Brown, our current insurance brokers, until which time the superintendent will now inform the town of Vernon the board has achieved the expected savings in insurance brokerage services, and that the town of Vernon and Board of Education's consolidate the bid for brokerage services when the town insurance brokerage contract is up at the end of fiscal year 2015.
Is there a second, Mr. Gould? Okay, any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Item 6.3, discussion on contracts and contract negotiations. Will there be a vote? There'll be a vote now, right? All right. I need a motion to go into executive session to invite Dr. Conley and
Motion to go into executive session and invite Dr. Conway and Ms. Buell.
is there a second? Mrs. Bush?
Second.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we'll be in executive session.
took your backpack and I thought, oh, he's going home.
You're back. We're back, all right. Now we'll move on to item 7.0, to review and update the Board of Education calendar. Anybody have anything to change or add to the calendar? Okay, then we'll move on to item 8.0, opportunity for questions from the press about agenda items.
You waited.
You waited, we didn't have a vote.
In case something happens, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Nothing did. Okay, now I have Mr. Rule.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Mr. Bush. And all those in favor? It's unanimous, 8:53. Okay, thank you very much.